Okay, no Canterbury
Yay!
countdown.
You
Yeah,
actually had
I
the
guess
timing good though. That was good.
it
Congratulations.
was it was off by like one point, but whatever. Canterbury countdown didn't work out, but it sort of did. So let's roll with it. Yay! Okay, welcome to Mistress Reads. I am Mistress OP, and I have Madam Boo on the line with me. Hello, how
Woohoo!
are you doing, Madam Boo?
I'm doing pretty good. I like to point out though, 3 times in a row you got your name right. You're awesome.
You know what? It's the drugs. I never get drugs. Little syrup. I'm ready to go. Okay, so today we are doing a long review. We're supposed to do Hocus Pocus, but I was like, let me get October Daye out of the way because I'm doing little antidote things and I was making lists because, I had a day off and I had some syrup, so I had to color code.
Syrup, not up. Syrup.
just just a little syrup.
She
Just a
didn't
little
she didn't
syrup.
fix she didn't mix it with 7 Up, y'all.
I
She
no, I'm so boring that I have it in a teacup with a little bit of honey. Just
didn't Little Wayne it.
I know. I got my cough, and I don't want to be coughing. So, the worst part is that I probably won't even like do the whole thing. Like, you know how they give you like the little bottle now instead of the huge bottle they used to give out. They give out
Yeah.
the half bottle now. I probably won't even do like the full bottle. Isn't
Well,
that terrible?
the big bottle they stopped doing because people were making scissor.
So it's all,
And I and
because
what I don't understand is that if you were a grown ass person, how can you not walk your ass to a grocery store and get liquor instead of trying to get drunk off of cough
there's
syrup and 7 Up?
coating. Because there's coating in the syrup.
See, I think that's pointless.
Coating?
Especially someone like yeah, if you have there are liquors out there that are way better than fucking codeine. Codeine just makes you sleepy. Like you might
True.
as well just go smoke weed.
True.
But like someone like
True.
Lil Wayne with millions of dollars, like
But
really, homie,
but
you're gonna drink cough syrup. You can get strains of weed that normal people can't even afford, but you're gonna drink cough syrup.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. I think half the reason that got started because they used to give old people tons of those bottles. Do you remember? And they would
Yeah,
have it in their thing, and then some kid just started drinking it.
yeah. I think it was just well, actually, what I think it came from partially is robo tripping, and like back in the '90s, um, robo tripping actually involved a tab of acid. You actually had to have acid and drink it with the cough syrup. And then these idiot kids are like, "Oh no, you could just get high off of the tussin." And it's like, no, you have to have the
Yeah, but
tab of
it's
acid.
like they were doing like there's two different ways to do it. There's one way where you do it that way where you just use the tussin, and then there's a difference between that and prescription. When somebody prescribes you the stuff, sometimes they just prescribe stuff like like Tylenol
Or you could
because they're
leave the
trying to.
country and go and get codeine off of the pharmacy counter,
Yeah,
and like you don't have to get a prescription. Not that
and mail
I'm
it to yourself. And then,
no,
but
you could
they
actually. I actually brought myself back because I had a really badly impacted wisdom tooth. And when I was in Scotland, I actually like picked up like a bottle and like brought it back with me. Like I didn't have to mail it or anything. You
it's not
can't mail. You're
smuggling.
really not supposed to mail prescription. Not prescription. You're not supposed to mail controlled substances anyway.
Ah, gotcha. All right,
So
let
they
me
do
get back
limit
to
how much you take with you, but you
let me
can
get
you
back to
you
the book.
can get it. But anyway, back
Let's
to the
get
book.
back to the book. Um, this is October Day series by Sean McGuire. Sean
By
McGuire.
Shannon McGuire.
Sean McGuire.
Shannon.
Sean McGuire.
Or if some people can read Gaelic, Shauna, but Shannon McGuire.
Yeah, I can't. I wish I could, but can't. It's just I suck like
Gaelic
that.
is one of my languages.
Yeah, I suck like that. No, and not the good kind.
I have a hard enough trying to teach you some Japanese. We're keeping
You
you
know
away
what?
from Gaelic.
You told me not to read. Okay, just a side note. I'm skipping ahead. You told me not to read in the sea, salt tears. You were right. You were 100% right, and I accidentally read
One
it.
salt sea.
No, once I'll see, and then the book after it in
Yeah.
Salt Sea Tears. I never should have read. It was a short story. Just heads up. If you hate Connor, do not read it. Let's
It's
go.
not even that I hate him. He's just so boring.
You know the worst part is I love that fucking sea witch. I forgot her name, but I love her.
Lushak. Lushak is the shit.
Lushak is an amazing character who who has so many quirky, awesome bits that just make me want to hug her so much.
I want to be her when I grow up.
I was reading the fandom site and the whole speculation stuff, and I was even sitting there like a little nerdy kid. I had my glasses on. I was like, I think this is speculation on my part, but there I am. I was like, just because Lushak kept me in business on this series, just kept me in business. So the October Daye series, spoiler free, and we do this in 2 parts. 1 part spoiler, no spoilers. Second part, absolute spoilers, where we get to pick apart, or pick and love the book series. Now we're only doing 1 through 7. I'm gonna do chime at midnight because it's kind of like the fallout of it, and I want to talk the fallout because I feel like this is the chime at midnight was the jumping point to me actually liking the series.
Okay.
Chime at midnight. So I want to do chime at midnight if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get back to this here. Okay. So October Daye is a series about October, who is a half fae who has only, well, that's giving away something. She's half fae, and she's a low power half fae at that. And she's trying to live in a world that's made and catered for full blood fairies. So if you're a full blood fairy cares about you, whether you live or die. It's a terror.
You should use the vernacular.
What's vernacular?
She's a changeling.
She's a changeling.
But it's a different lore of changeling. Their lore of changeling is a half fae. The other lore for changeling is that it was a human child that was kidnapped by the fae, and the changing is the replacement.
Or I thought also somebody who ate the food of the thing and was stolen away.
That's another lore.
Okay. There's so many lores, so many lores. So she didn't know any of this until she was about what, 8 or 9?
Yeah, when she made the Changeling's Choice.
Changeling Choice being whether you want to live in the human world or you get to go and live in fairy. But it's really not a choice. Either you live in fairy or you die. It's just not a choice. Is that really? It's so like, but you know what I love about that Changeling Choice is that it's so very fairy. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck you, fuck you, get in my cart or don't play at all, Well,
I think also part of it is because of who her mother is too, so.
Well, I think she could have blended in though. A part of me thinks that she could have blended in like that Dunya girl.
No.
Because that one chick, okay. Well, this later on in the series. So it starts off like that, and then we find out almost immediately. So this is not, spoiling anything. It's actually part of the fucking blurb. So fuck you, everybody. That she was following some guy for her liege lord Sylvester. I won't get me started on that relationship. We're gonna get to that. Liege Lord Sylvester, which is the lord of the what is it they call them? Fiefs? They call them fiefs, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. The lord of the fief that she is in servitude to. So the fief lord. Now
she's not in servitude. She is a knight of that thief.
Thank you. I was just thinking like more servitude as an oath fealty, but okay, yes.
Well, she doesn't really owe it to him either. She swore herself to him. It was a choice.
Okay. All right. So the thing about this whole thing is that his daughter was stolen, and she went after his daughter and his wife, and in doing so, she was captured and put into a pond and turned into a fish. She almost died. I wonder if Amadine would have come out of nowhere and slapped that chick down.
No.
Because at that point, Amadine was crazy.
Oh,
And she didn't
Amadine is
care.
always crazy. There's a lot to that is in this next set of books. So
Oh, it's in the later half. I haven't
yeah.
gotten there. I'm in the middle of the other one, but I stopped when I started coughing and stuff because it was just too much noise. Uh, it's just too much noise. So I haven't been doing any of that stuff. I just wanted to do it before I forgot about it and didn't have it anymore. Okay, now you go through a series of books, and through this she finds out who did it and where, but not necessarily why and how. Like, there was one thing that I always found it weird is who told. Never mind. I'm gonna save it.
The
I'm gonna
why
save it
comes
'cause
later.
yeah, I'm gonna save it. I'm not gonna do this, so I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna save it. We're gonna stop, and that's the beginning of it. This story depends on a lot of secrets, and I'm gonna stop here, and we're gonna say that this is the secrets portions of it, and we're gonna just wrap this up and then go to the spoiler portions because honestly, what
This is gonna
intrigued
be
me about
really,
this.
really hard for me.
What intrigued me about this series is that there's so many goddamn secrets that I started wondering about the secrets, and that's what actually turned the corner for me on the series. It made me want to keep going, not necessarily within the first 5 books, but when I hit book 6, I had that. Well, isn't that interesting? What the hell is going on?
What I like about October's character is something that you really don't see a lot in urban fantasy, at least in my opinion. Um, like usually the main character is already on some kind of they live in some kind of island, pretty much. So they already like had nothing, and they
An
build
emotional
something.
island.
Where
They're
October
on an
had
emotional island.
everything. She had a fiance, she had a child, and then just lost it all and lost
Yeah.
15 years of her life and had to
Yeah,
build from there. And that's actually what I like is watching her rebuild and grow as she rebuilds.
I would say there's a dynamic that I think had to be there, but something I don't enjoy, which is that it took me a long time, and this is semi spoiler territory. We're not in the full spoilers. It took me a long time to realize that she was trying to kill herself the whole entire time,
I
up
think
until like
I think it was more like she just didn't care.
book
What
7. I would
happened, it
say that
happened.
I disagree with you on that. I would say she was passively trying to kill herself,
I well, we're
and
just
then
gonna have to agree to disagree because I don't think it really was she was bent on killing herself because there are so
I
many
don't think it
faster
was
ways
an
of
active
doing.
process in her head that she should die or wants to die or whatever.
I really just think she just didn't care about her life in general.
I would say that subconsciously she wanted to kill herself. In the same way that subconsciously, another character really loved being with dangerous men because she had emotional issues. It's just like those subconscious things, and it played out on this. It played out. It just played it. But that was my take on it, and it took me a while to figure it out. And then I think it went to full blown level 7 after who, or the fake coil.
We really
So,
need to get to the spoiler section because this is
yeah,
killing me.
let's just say here's the thing about this series. I think that you may not like the book, the first 5 books, and it's weird because I've never said this
I don't
about a
know because
series
you know
before.
what, Connor is a type that chicks are really into.
Yeah,
Well,
but I think in a
it's the
sense
type
this
that
is a
the chicks
special.
say that they want, but they end up going in a different direction.
This I would say that October Day is a very special character because she isn't winning her battles through being particularly smart, particularly athletic, particularly particularly knowledgeable.
See,
Like,
I disagree with that. I think she actually has quite a bit of knowledge because she would have been dead by now. She does
okay,
know how
okay,
to
let me
maneuver through
rephrase
the
that.
fake
I
courts.
would say that she's not okay, let me rephrase that. She is knowledgeable, but she doesn't always apply detective skills, which gets on my nerves, that she's supposed to have. Like the basic private eye detective bullshit, like the dumb shit, she doesn't effectively use in her series,
See,
and that's not a failing.
I think you're missing the there is like her generation of changing. It's kind of like Boruto. There's a whole generation of unknowing. Unless you were part of the first, there's tons of secrets that you still don't know.
I would say
Like
because
unless
she
you
was pulled out of her life.
see, I
Because
don't
she
think
was
that's the
pulled out of
case.
her life as a human mortal, she missed out on a lot of stuff. And I understand what you're saying, but I think at the same time, she has to use basic detective stuff, and that's what she says her strong point is in the book. Is that the reason why she's able to complete these tasks is because she can do basic detective work. And after reading a story about a person who does basic detective work, such as the Hidden Legacy series, who's
See, but
pretty
I
much
think
just
that's
a
totally completely different things because the fake court's unpredictable. And a lot of things you're not going to find out unless you go and hunt down Oberon himself.
but when we're dealing with the first half of the books, we're not dealing in that cup of tea. We're dealing with basic detective work type stuff. For example, Tame Lightning series, the whole Tame Lightning arc was about basic detective work,
Well,
which
see,
she
if
barely
but if you
applied to the
but if you
situation.
weren't if it wasn't applied, then a loose shack wouldn't have a place in the first half of the books.
And that's what I'm okay. I think that again we're back in this territory. Okay, so we'll save this part for the spoilery. We'll save this part for the next part, but I think that she's a particular character who isn't like OP. She is not overpowered, at least in the first half of the series. She's far from overpowered, and I think that's what makes her interesting because she's an unconventional hero
Mm,
with certain contradictions. For example, when she says, I hate when people look at me with hero's eyes, and later on, suddenly she's, let's, come on, squiry, let's do some squiring. But I think that's more emotional growth. But the first time it happened, when she got Quentin, was one thing. And then the second time, it was emotional growth the second time around. So I would say that this series and I say that this series, you don't know if you like it or not until book 6 or 7. And I hate to say that because like there's there you remember the Jane Yellowrock series where I was like you might not like the first 2 books.
I didn't like the first book. After that, it was fine. But see, the thing is, though, like if I didn't like the first 6 books, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did in October Day series. I just think that I feel that the first book actually was pretty good. I liked the second book. I liked the third book. But there's a particular
I,
character that became more and more prominent within, like the fourth book, the fifth book, and the sixth book
for
that
various reasons. Yeah.
got on my fucking nerves.
I disagree. I didn't enjoy the first book, and I did not enjoy the second book as much, but slightly less, I, because the Lushak came forward more every book, and the Lushak became the character that actually. So I didn't really enjoy Quentin, and I didn't really like her that much. But as Lushak came forward in the book, I enjoyed it more and more because, like, every time they showed up at the Lushak's house, it was like a mystery wagon. It's like, what is she gonna do next?
See,
So
I enjoyed her trying to maneuver between the mortal world and the Fey world, and
I enjoyed
like
some of that. I enjoyed Tybalt.
trying not to get trapped into it, into
I
their
enjoyed
little Fey
Tybalt
traps.
too. I enjoyed
Tybalt was a
Tybalt.
lot of fun. He's actually one of my favorite characters in the
I
series.
enjoyed her drama with the Fey Queen too.
That chick, oh my god.
Save it because I don't know the full story yet. So let's go ahead and
Well,
just do
that's
the.
why this is killing me.
Okay, let's go ahead and do. Let's go ahead and do. I think it's either 1 through 6 or 1 through 7. I can't remember.
1 through 7. You said you wanted to do 1 through 7.
1 through 7 is when the Faith Queen thing with the she gets kicked out of the whatever. Yeah, let's do 1 through 7 because that's the we'll do 1 through 6 definitely, possibly 7, but I think I can't figure out what's the end of the arc. You have arc 1, arc 2, and then the beginning is Midnight at Chimes where she gets kicked out of the kingdom. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I I don't
Okay.
really think there's an actual genuine arc end actually because
They
all
kind
this
of the
shit gets
stories
revisited again.
all the stories are
So
also on top of each other. They're not archy, they're more on top of each other.
they're
But
like
let's go.
intertwined. Like each story is tied in with the other story. So it's like the arc never really ends. They just kind of connect the dots in different places.
Yeah, I wish she had done more of an arc style, but whatever. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Should you read the series? Yes. You should read the
I
series.
think so.
You should read the series, stick around, and make sure you really hate it if you hate it, because you never know. There's you never know. It's well written, it's well researched, it's entertaining as fuck, even if you don't like all the characters, and you may like the growth that they receive later on. And they may become a likable character for you later on, even though you don't like them at the start. Okay? Alright. Let's get started on the actual October Day stuff. This is the spoiler section. I'm sorry, we're discussing it because we have to.
You're
We
killing me,
don't
Saul.
discuss
You're
it.
killing me.
We don't discuss it. I'm gonna go mad. So there are like
Don't get
several
mad.
different. Yeah, there are several different levels of secrets, and you progress through the secrets of this story. It has more secrets than even I understand, but I would say this.
I should
I
have
wish.
reread book 7 just so I can know where to stop with my spoilers because I forgot.
Let's go ahead and do. Let's stop it. Let's do. Would it be easier if we just did 6? Because then you don't have to start talking about
I
the fake
don't
queen and stuff like that.
because I don't like like the first 6 books kind of blend in
Okay,
for
we'll just
me.
do 1 through 7.
So
We'll do
I
one
will
through six instead.
try. I will try
Let's.
as where I'll let you have the lead and I will try to
We'll
control
just
my
do 1 through
spoilers.
6. So I'm gonna skip over Rosemary and Rue because, except for one thing, I hate the Devon plotline. I understand he has to be there, but it's so ucky, and it's ucky to a level I just can't uck.
See, I actually liked Rosemary and Rue because I liked the how they set up the setting.
Yeah,
And they and it wasn't just like the whole story took place in the Tenderloin, I've seen some authors do, but it actually spreads out throughout
yeah.
Northern California.
San Francisco actually feels like San Francisco, and it's one of the first books that feel Oaklandy and San Francisco and Northern California and Tame Lightning. Like I could like see Tame Lightning, and I was like, yeah, that's
I
Tame
could actually
Lightning.
picture that in my head. I really could. That was one of the few ones
Yeah,
that
that was
actually could like.
few like little tech little Mountain Dew Haven bullshit places.
Now that storyline, actually thinking about it, that probably is a arc. Like that probably could have even been the standalone book by itself.
Tame Lightning, yeah.
Yeah.
Tame Lightning is an artificial night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went with artificial because the chick is artificial, so I'm just
I
guessing.
that Fey dude that washes you in your clothes,
No,
like
no,
I
artificial
want to be
night was
friends with
Blind
one.
Michael.
Yeah, no,
Artificial night,
Artificial Night was fine, Michael. It's not a local
local
inhabitant.
habitation.
Uh
Maybe local
we're
habitation.
terrible. We need to open Goodreads.
I am. I'm looking at Goodreads. I know. I have no good excuse.
But
I have side notes and shit, and I'm looking at.
I'm just gonna blame weed for all my forgetfulness. There we go.
Mine is just because I'm me. I just fuck it. Okay,
But
yeah, Team Lightning was local habitation. I
like
don't
Team
I don't
Lightning,
like
because
her
the whole
title
story,
names though.
uh, I I can understand why they exist.
Because she has too many fucking secrets in her book, so she picks these weird ass titles.
Rosemary and Rue is a Faye reference.
Well, and she
Uh,
also says Rosemary, smell like Rosemary constantly in the book.
it's also the smell of, yeah, she smells magic.
Yeah, which is an important thing that almost all the characters do smell magic, don't they? Or they
No,
have some magic.
she's
They
a
have
specific blood Faye, and that's like her type of phase.
Bloodface smell magic though. Bloodface.
Yeah,
But she asked that human what it smelled like too. Remember?
I'm trying to
She
remember
asked
when she interacted with the
mother. What's
human.
her name? The human mother of the teleporter. Okay. Okay. Never
Oh,
mind. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. Let's just keep going. So Rosemary. So that's the whole Devlin thing, and Devlin pops up throughout the book in various locations,
forms.
forms, and flashbacks. So you kind of never get away from him. So if you think he's
All right.
Uck, you're
So
stuck with
like,
him.
if people like don't remember, because let's actually like throw together this little timeline of October.
Okay.
October was born during like the 1950s. Her
That
mother
sounds
was a,
about right.
her mother's a fae. Her father was human.
No, the
He had to
70s. The
do that.
70s. No. The book came out. Wait. The book came out. Let me look when the book came out again.
Why does it matter when the book came out? She's a changeling.
2009. 2009. So yeah, like the 60s.
I really think it was the 50s.
The book came out in 2009. She's constantly making references to. So
I'm
2009 would be, and she's 50
I'm
years old.
I'm trying to understand your tie-in though. Like you know what? Here we go.
I assume that there was modern day from the day the book was released, which is 2009. She's 50 years old, around 50 years old.
I'm not even referring to when the book was published
Uh-huh.
because there's no point. Um, Give me one second.
Yeah, no, keep going. Keep going.
Uh, October Day was born in 1951.
Okay, we're on top of it.
So, yeah, someone actually posted a timeline.
Ah, so we'd be just a little bit of loser and steal it. Go
I just
ahead, do
looked it
your
up
thing.
because I was pretty positive about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so October's okay. So October's born human father, Faye mother. She's given the changeling choice. I wonder if that's in the timeline. Give me one second. Uh, it's yeah, 1959. Yes, she was 8 years old when she was given her changeling's choice.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so then she goes to Fairy. She's living with her mother in Fairy in her
Who's
mother's
crazy?
area. But there's different
And
reasons
she's
on
crazy.
why her mother's crazy, and I don't remember whether or not they were mentioned in the earlier books on why her mother's crazy.
No, they don't. They don't. I read them and they didn't mention it because there's even speculation on the message board about what
So
was
August
fucking wrong
wasn't
with
mentioned.
October Day. Yeah, but what was that?
August
But
wasn't
what?
mentioned. August.
No, we don't even know. I've never heard of August yet.
Okay, so we'll ignore that. All right, so we'll move forward. So Toby went through a lot of neglect and emotional abuse living with her crazy mother, and then her mother just disappeared, just poof. But I think before her mother disappeared is when Toby ran away from home and she went to the mortal world where she was living with Devlin and a bunch of changelings. And a young Toby ends up having a sexual relationship with Devin. until it turns out that Devlin decided to have a sexual relationship with another
With
young
him.
girl who was a cave she.
And also her best friend.
Yes. So then
Well,
Toby
one of
runs
two.
away from there and then becomes a knight in Sylvester's court.
Yeah.
And she decides that she wants to balance out her life between her obligations to the Fey realm as well as she wants to kind of live a normal life. Meets a human, has a baby, gets engaged.
And this was years after leaving Devlin's home, which is Devlin is like a Phelan.
Yeah, I think Devlin's worse than Phelan.
But he's like a Phelan type character, Phelan and
I
his
don't
like creepy
think
ass thing.
they're anything alike, actually, except for the fact that they're both Fae. Phelan.
No, I meant like Phelan from like the book,
Alex
Charles
Kraft.
Dickens.
Oh, you're talking about Fagin.
Fagin, thank you.
Jesus.
I've never said it out loud. I've got to start saying these things out loud.
It's like Phelan. I'm thinking you're talking about Alex Kraft.
I thought Hermione's name was Hermione until like I heard the audiobooks.
I can't say her name with without messing it up and making it sound like grandmother in Korean. Oh. So I have to say it really, really slow.
Hermione?
Because Hermione is grandmother. So Hermione. I have to actually say it slower to be able to say it. Everyone has that word. And that word is my issue word.
Most words are mine.
So yeah. She was fairly young when she left Devlin's because she pretty much grew up in Sylvester's court. So she was about Phelan, Jesus.
Which I
Devlin.
don't think
she was about 15 years old, 15, 16 years old.
I don't think the author did the greatest job of really laying out their father-daughter style relationship. Because I was always I always was told it, but I never got those scenes that would really lay it out better.
Let me be more specific to correct myself, okay? Mm-hmm. In human years, she would have in Changeling years, she would have still been very, very young.
Yes.
So she would have been if Fae turned, she would still have been like an early adolescent when she left Devlin's. Though in reality, I think she was 20 years old.
Yeah, she was 20, but she looked 16.
So
see, you had an uncomfortable second there.
It's still ugh. So then she joins Devlin and all that jazz.
But she
leaves Devlin.
Before she was 20, I think that they said something about after she went back to after she went to the Summerlands. It's the Summerlands in this book. That Amandine took her to the Undine and also to the to Sylvester.
Yeah.
So he was like a father figure, which she never really did a great job of. I felt like the author felt the emotional relationship was established because she knew the story, but I don't think that the story was
it gets fleshed out a little bit better later. Not a lot better, but a little bit better later.
Much later on, she did it. It almost reminds me of the way in Mercedes Thompson.
I feel that with Mercedes,
not as well executed.
You can actually feel the family bond there with Mercedes. You don't really feel it as much with Sylvester.
That's what I'm saying. It's not as well executed. That's what I just said. Not as well executed. You can it's almost like Mercedes Thompson, except for the way this author did it. She didn't execute it that way. So you always had that. She has this overly emotional, big pull feeling towards Sylvester, but you as a reader never understand fully why until later on in the series. And by the time it's explained in the series, it still doesn't have, it has that kind of feel to it. Like, you should have told me this earlier.
Well,
Does that,
and I also with Toby's relationship with Sylvester really bothers me because like execution or be damned, I don't even feel an actual like father figure thing with her because as much as he says he loves her, he still like has some resentment towards her. And like, and especially with comparison to like to uh to our girl
Graceland?
Mercy. Like wait, okay, with Mercy Thompson, even though like, the werewolf society is all crazy and everything, like Bran
Showed up.
wouldn't kill her. Well, that he does show up, but he wouldn't kill her in the sake of for sake of one of his sons because he actually sees her as one of his children. And I don't feel that from Sylvester. I think Sylvester always feels he has to pick a side.
I would
And
say
like
that
if
I'm
his
really
daughter was to jump up
uncomfortable.
and sink a
I'm
knife in October's chest, he'd be sad, but he wouldn't do anything to
to
stop
keep
it.
raising, like, yep. I, in my heart of hearts, I am uncomfortable as a reader with the loyalty she shows Sylvester, because he doesn't seem to show it back. Just my take on it. And that, even though in later books we see I never feel a resolved feeling for the amount of loyalty and joy she imbues into the word Sylvester constantly. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And it's a turnoff for me. It's a big turnoff. And I don't know how the author can fix it that at this point. I just want to, say something about it, because it was constantly like, just ugh. That
So
makes any
then
sense. After seeing it executed so well in Mercy Thompson, that that sort of, soap opera, I didn't realize how much he loved me. He loves me stuff,
I'm
and
still
I'm
waiting for
really his
her to
fan.
realize that because, from Charles's perspective, it's always there. Like
There's
when they talk about when father and sons are together and they're talking about Mercy, you can feel that affection. When there she goes and travels and she hears about things that she's done to Brad.
And when
you
I
know,
think about Sylvester, I'm just waiting for him to screw her over.
yeah.
I'm just
Now
waiting for it constantly, because he will.
there is one thing I really, really love about these books, and I love the author for this. And it's a little thing, and it can easily be overlooked, but it's so little and so beautiful. It's so sad, but really pretty. When anytime October has to announce that a Faye has died, the speech that she gives,
Oh, yes, yes.
and it's so beautiful. Like honestly, like I want something like that at my future at my funeral. Like that was just
Also,
really
there's really good nomenclature in this series. Like, there's really good speechifying in areas with the way they speak. When she goes to the salt, they have a slightly different thing for the salt, and I almost
yeah.
wish you'd find an air fairy just to hear what they would say to her. I can't. I didn't write it down, but it's always fair winds and something something. What is it?
And like with
Open roads. Open roads.
another one was when in the death announcement speech, it always said, so and so dances no longer.
Yeah,
Like
yes,
in the days
yes.
when we danced all the time, and now we're in this
And the
world.
promise, yeah. And they constantly refer to, also, speaking of that speech also reminded me of, they constantly call her mother the great betrayer. And there's this
Yeah,
grand conspiracy to, I believe, kill her and kill
they still
Amelie.
haven't fully revealed that goddamn secret though.
No, they haven't. But she was the last child of Oberon, and there's some sort of great betrayal that they're a part of. And I
Well, that's
almost wonder if
supposedly
they're
part of it.
Shigami.
That was supposedly part of it. Part of it was that was hinted was that because she was the last child of Oberon, but there's supposed to be more to it. And I have read the most recent book, and they still haven't explained that shit.
But in this first, she
With
said
Winter
that
Road.
they would not know death. I
Yeah,
think
and
that
then, at
Amandine,
first they were not supposed to ever know death, and then they came to this world, something they can no longer
death
dance.
something.
Yeah.
I think that Amandine, something about Amandine, something like Shigami or Grim Reapers or something like that. There's something blood, Grim Reapery, and things because of their relationship with. There's a lot to unpack, but there's something to do with death in Amandine.
She's blood.
Something
She's
death
a blood
related. I
type.
don't know, but I was talking about this on the forums, and other people were talking about it too. And I was like, it's something to do with death and Amandine and like Shigami or Death Reapers or Death something or other. Something to do with death, blood, life, and something. Like like she has shown that she has control of three things or two things, which is she seems to have some negotiation with death because they tell her and Amandine to stop messing with death. The the little what are they called? You know what I'm talking about? Little
Night haunts.
not mockingbirds, but
Night haunts.
thank you. Too many freaking Fae books. Okay. But they told her to stop messing with death. And then there's a second thing she showed. She showed she has the ability to mess with the way they live. So that's death now, life, not necessarily life, but living. And now the question is, does she have life control? Like something like she can create some type of being out of nothing as the firstborn does. So what is her being out of nothing she creates? Because I think the rose goblins were created by accident from what's her name? That one chick, that one prototypical.
She wasn't the firstborn.
What is it? She's not a
If we're
firstborn.
talking about Sylvester's wife,
No, not Sylvester's wife.
because I
Sylvester's
thought
wife's
she's the one
mom.
that created the rose garden, the rose goblins.
Oh, I didn't know she created the rosebud. I
I
thought
thought she was the
Sylvester's
one that
mom
did.
did. I thought Sylvester's wife's mom did.
That's
Adina
possible.
something
They
something.
get
She has a black
really,
name.
really. She has a black name.
She
No,
did. She
she
had a
had
black
a
name.
watermelon Andrea.
No, it isn't. She had a black sounding name. It was like Let me look up Luna's mom. Luna's mom. Luna October Day. Although you know what's the funny thing is, I like Luna. She's upfront about her bullshit. She doesn't
I have
like
a lot
love
of
me.
problem with Luna, but that comes later.
Okay. I don't want to know. I haven't gotten there yet. I have to wait until I have the whole. I honestly, Luna, Raceline, like when Luna turned and said that, and when she was almost killed, she was like, Acacia. That's her name. Acacia. Even though that's spelled weird.
You know, Kasha.
No, it's Acacia, isn't it?
Spell it.
Acacia. That's like my worst spelling of looking. I'm glad I didn't read this book and I listened to the audiobook because that just trips my dyslexia because it's CAC in there. And so the A almost looks like a C. Okay, sorry. I'm just like that just
You're
trips
killing
my
my
it
soul.
trips me
You're
up.
killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
Yeah.
I
It's
was
just
hoping
like
that somebody actually like posted the speeches that she gave for the
for
death
the death.
speeches.
You're really ripped that off, are you? Just do a finder on it. Do
I'm
do the
I'm
Kindle.
I'm obviously doing that.
Okay. You'll get it. You can steal it. Okay, but
It's not stealing if it's research, dear.
but I honestly I really enjoyed that. One thing I wish she would have done is I wish she wouldn't have wrote as thinly as she did, because she tends to write characters in only when she has to, and she has a very thin character count, and all her characters get used almost. Does that make sense? The only
Mm-hmm.
two characters I haven't seen used really well is Marcia. We haven't gotten Marcia's story because she's an unresolved fae. She's a quarter fae
I
with
don't think she's
uh,
that significant.
with a parent who doesn't acknowledge her who she is. Two, we have what's his name, who we haven't revealed, which is full blood, like a Cobbly now. I forgot his name. Walter. There we go. And then Walter's assistant, which is over described. And those are the three people in the whole series who are recurring, semi-recurring characters who she hasn't really used that much. Oh, and
I
Tarkwo's
think
court, which I don't count. I don't
well,
count
see,
anybody in Tarkwo's court.
you actually should count them a hell of a lot more than you're counting the ones that you're talking about, because I don't think those are significant characters anyway. I
I
think
don't
that
think they are either.
I think
I
they're
don't think
rather.
those.
I think they're kind of
I
flat. I think that they're like Marsha. I think she doesn't really. I
oh,
don't. I
she
think she's more of
disappears
a
from the
flat
series
character.
after.
I don't think she really disappears, but there's no use for her.
Mhm. I figure she's gonna reveal who's the parent that's not acknowledging her
Then it
of the
had to be
bloodline.
much later, because up till now, nope.
Okay. The cobbling now guy, I don't think she's gonna. I just think she needed somebody to take her, like a CSI guy. She needed a CSI guy. Does that make sense?
I think that she has an arsenal of people that she can go to.
I figured that the guy was like a Scooby Squad person. If that makes sense. Like Scooby Squad. She needed Scooby Squad,
Oh,
and
here
then
it is.
for Scooby
Here it
Squad.
is. When the root and branch were young, when the rose still grew unplucked upon the tree, when all our lands were new and green, and we danced without care, then we were immortal. Then we lived forever. We left those lands for the world where time dwells, dancing that we might see the passage of the sun and the growing of the world. Here we may die, and here we can fall. And here, my lady Evening Winter Rose, Countess of the Fife of Golden Green, has stopped her dancing.
Now
That
you're
was
set.
huh?
You're now set. You're
Wow,
now
you just
set.
totally just devalued the beauty of
No,
that.
you're no,
The
no. I'm not. I'm like you're set now. Though you're set. Like
oh, never
you're gonna
mind.
get the whip and chain for the child so she understands what you want.
What
Or are
does that
you
have
gonna
to do with
change
what
it?
we're talking about?
Well, you said you wanted to use that through your death. I figure you were gonna like change a couple of lines in it, and then you'd be like set.
I was actually just referring to the beauty of it, and since we're actually talking about the book,
Oh, I
I
thought you
wasn't
were using it for
like
your funeral.
I think you need some Adderall, dear, or something, because you ah
I just assumed you were using it for your funeral, like you said just a
you
couple seconds ago.
it was just an expression. Like
Oh, okay. Because I would have actually wrote that in my will. Okay. But maybe that's just me. All right. Um.
oh, child, I'm gonna be burnt and scattered. Like it really, I don't even want a funeral. I want a party. But it's just, it was such a beautiful like thing, and it's bittersweet, but it kind of does tell the story of the firstborn. Because only the firstborn, other than a few minor phase, actually were able to, it's a part of the Fey world that the changelings will never know, because October's generation of changelings, and the new monarchy that will eventually come about, that rules on the Fae, those generations never stood at Oberon's feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So we have One Salt Sea, and in One Salt Sea, I feel like that was actually not. It was supposed to be Connors and I think the author expected it to be Connors and Toby's book, but I honestly think that was Toby and Lushak's book. Does that make
I
sense?
love the Lushak. I think she's so great and so quirky, and like she definitely pushes the story forward, but she also reveals things
I
and
felt
hints
like we were
at more that
building
there is to come.
we were building to the secret in One Salt Sea of why the Lushak is not in the damn sea if she's a sea witch, and why she's around.
I think she already explained that, like why she's not in the sea.
We find that out in One Salt Sea, though.
Yeah,
We didn't know that the Sulkies were her children, and those partial
no, the
fae,
Selkies
whatever they
were
were.
her children.
The I forgot what they're called. Let me look it up. A Erewhon, a Scanning something, Sulky, Day. I forgot what they're called.
Let
But
me
anyways, the
see.
Sulkies are both her death, her children's death, and do you think that they're gonna change them into their children?
I don't think that deeply into it.
Because like, do you remember that there was like when Luna stole that little chick's dead body, the ghost of the chick was still hanging out there. So
Yeah,
if
but
the,
it's still completely different fake courts and existences. She stole the body of a Katsune. It has nothing to do with the Tuatha and Luna's Tuatha.
no, but I meant that when Luna stole the body and used the Sulky technique to steal the body, the little girl's soul was still there.
Uh
Does that
huh.
mean all the souls of all the people who were actually, the skins for that the Sulky stuck are still around? And can Toby and her mother stick them back into people?
Oh no, no, no! What happens is how Selkies are reborn is from their pelts. Selkies. I know I'm listening to you and mispronouncing it.
Yeah, but the people, the Erewhon or something, I don't know. I don't know what they're called. Connor. But she said that someday they're gonna come back or something's gonna happen and there'll be no more pelts. And what you got is what you got is what she was saying or something
Because
like
there's
that.
that's how they reincarnate. So there's only a set number of them.
But what's her the Lushak went down to see her ex-girlfriend and who's a sulky who betrayed her. And she told her that the time is coming soon for something to happen.
It's a year warning.
And, yeah, and I thought there would be no more. She wouldn't do this ever again because those sulky skins, for some reason, always return to her somehow. And then
I,
she goes down there and gives them back.
I thought it was actually something different than
The
that.
Ronin. The Ronin, that's what they are.
I don't remember her actually being. It's just that they shed their when they die their skin is shed, and I didn't think it was necessarily her that necessarily gives it back, but she tends to find it because she's a sea witch.
Yeah. Yeah, and like they stole the skin from the Ronins, didn't they? Like the
I
skin,
don't remember that, but I'm looking it up.
they were descended from the Lushak, and they were shapeshifters, not the skins type shapeshifter like the Sulky, and they went extinct because the humans or the partial fae or whatever they were stole all those skins.
Don't
Like Luna skinned that freaking Katsune chick.
Luna did, and the sulkies are two different things completely, and you're kind of
Because she told the little girl, I know how the Sulkies got their skins, is what she told the little girl when she went to go skin her ass.
but she didn't necessarily skin her. The girl was already dying.
But she was wearing her skin.
The girl, never mind.
the girl was dying, and then she says to the little girl, I know how the Sulkies got their skin. And she had the thorn, and she skinned her. And that's why October says later in the series, I think the skin is gone and we won't get the skin back because she burned it off when she was poisoned.
All right, so she's the mother of the Ronin and the Sulkies, and then there's something else. Wait, let me see.
She's the mother of the Rowan, and the Sulky stole the Rowan skin, which made her the accidental mother of the Sulkies. In order to save the Sulkies, in order to save the Rowan, she did something, or in order to save the Rowan and keep their memory alive, which I think she actually meant keep the skin alive. In the same way, that's where I think that I honestly think that the author
Sulkies
was
are partly
connecting.
mortal skin shifters, creatures that can transfer themselves back to a human form and back again by putting on or removing their skin. They are descended from the Lushak and the Roan. Sulky skins are treasured, and the permanent destruction or loss of one is a tragedy. There is a limited number of them, and they are passed down within clans. Skins become available when Sulky decides to pass their skin or dies or is killed. Since there are so few, not every Sulky child receives a skin. So when a skin is available, a potential new Sulky must go through a form of the Changeling's Choice. Even after either take the skin knowing the true story of the Sulkies or die at the hands of one offering it. Sulkies must keep the skins on their body where it will take whatever form is convenient, a belt, a bracelet, whatever. Unskinned Selkie can age normally and have no magic of their own. The limited age is 39 to 40 years old. Those that pass the limit are give up their skin, usually more inland, far away from sea. From the October Day Wikipedia.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Rowan skin. That's why the Rowan went extinct. At least I don't know if they're going to tell us that, but I think that's the guess on it. It's the reason why the Rowan went extinct is because, well, actually they already told us that that's why the Rowan went extinct, because they were at the children of the Sulkies were at the door, but they never told us what Fae firstborn betrayed Levushak.
No. Sorry, I'm not talking to you.
Oh, okay. They never told us what Fae firstborn betrayed Levushak, which I'm guessing is the Tooth of Danann. The Tooth of Danann firstborn, which is my guess. That's my guess. That's my only guess, is the Tooth of Danann firstborn. Just a guess. But if it no, just a guess. I'm sticking with my guess. Oh, I'm sticking with my guess.
I really don't see anything here about,
About what?
well, because it's kind of limited about the Roan.
Well, the scene with you remember the scene. The
Oh, I
scene
remember
where
this scene, but what? And,
what?
and she did give them the warning, but I think it's because there's so few pelts left.
Well, there was also that weird scene with the well, no. I there's some sort of fate or something that she's supposed to do in connection with the Sulkies that's coming up, and it's initiated because Toby made the changeling choice to come into the world, and it's also something that her mother Amandine was trying to fight to make sure that never happened. I don't even understand why she had her. It
Later
makes no
books.
sense.
Later books. This is what happens when you want to split the series in half.
I should have split it then. It's like, but I had to split it. I had to split it because I wouldn't have been like this. I'm gonna have to split it.
Oh,
Okay.
well.
I I I will say this. When Connor died for her daughter, I was kind of pissed off. Not because her daughter lived or whatever, or didn't live, or she had to change or whatever, pick or what have you, and use her magical gifty powers, what have you. I was actually kind of pissed off for one reason. While he was dead and dying, I still didn't give a fuck about Connor. And I felt guilty. I felt guilty. Because the funny thing is, emotional payoff moments, I felt like when Lily died, I actually got sad. When the
That
Undine
actually did make
died,
me sad.
I was sad. And I was like, and when she said her goodbyes and she was so brave about it, and she was like, just, I'm returning to the water, I'm going to live forever, blah, blah, blah. And she did her whole thing. I was just like, wow. Also,
See, I don't think Connor was ever really significantly that much of a character. He didn't feel like it. He just felt like the shallow surfer boy that she had a thing with when she was like
who's
younger.
constantly throwing her away. And I mean, I get why he did that, because when Sulkies, even if they're not part of this, even if they don't wear a skin, go outside of their clan, outside of the Sulky, cult, whatever you want to call it. Um, it always ends badly, which was explained in Salt Sea's Tears, and other books and other short stories. Which, congrats on her for getting that Patreon working for, like, author seems to not know how to get. um, what
I
I liked
just
about that a lot.
I just don't feel Connor. I don't.
I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I think it was
I felt he was a very 2D character,
yeah, a
and
distraction.
like, okay, you remember those like the old school like sitcoms where like the youngest daughter or one of the daughters would have a crush on a guy that you would maybe only see for like 30 seconds each scene, but you'd hear about how dreamy he was more than you'd actually see him.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like that.
It suffered from the Sylvester complex.
It was just,
We never got the emotional connection. We never got the understanding of the emotional connection of what she saw in him and why it worked. And we only got, a couple of sex scenes where you
that
mostly
weren't
felt
even worth a
uncomfortable.
damn.
I never felt quite
I
as
felt that the
uncomfortable.
only way that her and Lushak were gonna get closer was for him to die. So maybe that was it. Like that was the vehicle to
That
bring her
was,
and
yeah.
Lushak closer.
And I just wish she had executed her vehicle better, which is the reason why I was pissed off when Connor died. It wasn't because he died. It was because I cared nothing for him and I was sort of happy. And I felt terrible. I was like, God.
Instead of Connor, I kind of wanted her to have skipped the middleman and just
Tried to
oh,
build a
I can't say
relationship between
anything.
her. Tried to build a relationship between
No, that's actually
between
not where I was going, but I can't. Wait, between who?
between Lushak, and like just build
Oh
like a
no, that's
friendship
not what
like
I
they
was
were
referring to.
doing.
But we
Oh,
broke the series in half, so I can't say anything else.
okay. Let's not go there. Okay, so let's go with this Tybalt situation.
Uh, Go ahead.
He In this half of the series, he's not really used effectively, but I promise you it'll work out to where he's used effectively. Is that
See, I wish instead of that Connor thing that they already established this whole love hate thing with them. Well, it's not even love hate; it's hate and respect. Like we can't stand each other, but we do have a certain amount of respect for each other.
mhm.
And that's really what you start to see in book one. And like I wish they kind of built on that, maybe had them rage out a little bit more at each other. I don't
I wish
know.
I wish she wouldn't have wrote so cleanly, and I would have enjoyed more moments. So I agree with you. She has a habit of writing really. I feel like I'm on a train with her and she's driving the fucking train and it's not going to stop. And sometimes I would have loved to see a couple of scenes of incredulity, between them, where I could just see them being and that develop and, from moment to moment. So I felt we only got like the barest thinnest hint. Like it was almost like this author is afraid of relationships in books. Does that make sense?
Or maybe doesn't know how to write relationships. Like I've read, okay, I've attempted to read her other series, indexing of what is of it right now. I have completed, and uh, and encrypted. I've tried, uh, and like out of her series, this is probably the best one, and especially when it comes to relationships. So I don't know if she just doesn't know how to write relationships,
That
or
might be what we're dealing with because what I see is that the only relationship she's developed here is a relationship between Luna and Toby, which is sketchy as fuck. Between
Luna is
racially,
very Molly.
what's that mean?
Molly from the Faith Hunter series.
Yes, between Raceline and I see some development. Like she did some development between Raceline and Toby. Um, between she has fallen off on the development between May and Toby, but there's moments. There's definite moments between May, Toby, and her girlfriend. Where there's moments.
Here's my problem with the whole Raceline thing. It starts in spurts, starts in spurts, and it was like
We
I
don't
feel like he doesn't
understand.
know what to do with her,
We don't understand Raceline. We don't
and
understand Raceline, the adult, until one salts tea. But we get
not
tons of
even.
fucking salt in
Not
between.
even because no one knows what happened to her to make her batshit because it was more than just her sitting in the darkness. And that's
And
never
her
explained.
having weird blood.
Now there is her blood was fighting itself, but there's still October keeps referring that there's still more to it. What happened? He never
Yeah.
found out what actually happened.
Or even why it happened as well.
Oh, that does explain why it happened.
Because he wanted the
Just
land or
later.
something?
No, 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 no. This is
Oh,
much
we
later.
find out later.
Much, much
We
later.
also don't, there's a lot of things we just I don't know. There's a lot of questions and it takes a lot. I wish you would have answered a couple of questions sooner instead of stringing them along. Like I wish I had what was it? Tame Lightning was a detour. It was a detour book. And then after Tame Lightning the detour book, we had Blind Michael and we got a bunch of questions in Blind Michael. And we got very few answers in Blind Michael, but we had a shitload of questions. And then the next book, we have a shitload of questions. And then this book, we get some answers in Waltz LC. And then, but we still have a shitload of questions. And I don't
Yeah,
mind.
if Luna didn't take the girl's skin to hide, then Rosalind, whatever, would have had a few less issues, but she would still have had
Be crazy.
issues.
Racing would have still been crazy. Yes. And I think Luna said something interesting in that series too. When she tries to kill her, she had said something onto the effect of Raceline had choices, just like I had choices, but but look what she picked. And I almost think that that was when Luna killed her. Or, you know what I mean? Because I think she knew what she had done and she understood it on a subconscious level, not necessarily the whole plot of all of it together, but I think she knew. But it almost was like Raceline made a choice. And I think part of the problem is with Raceline is that in a sense Raceline had a happy childhood up until that point. And I think that contributed to her crazy. Does that make sense? Like if she had an unhappy childhood and she lived in terror that whole entire time, I think she would have been less crazy. As weird as that sounds. Okay.
I think there's a lot of problems with that whole, and also because for a good portion of the series, Raceline isn't even there anymore.
Are we was this after the elf shot?
Yeah,
Yeah. Because she's asleep for 100 years, supposedly.
which yeah, it's just so really no resolution with that yet.
It's
And
fun. Fun the
there,
whole way.
there's so
The
it's
problem
like
is
at this
that
point we're just fighting to see the end.
yeah, one of the things I dislike is that this author has a habit of instead of having interactions and doing things in development of relationships, which is what you want to see in long series, you want to have those moments where they have the development moments that you get with different characters, and you're happy to see characters come in and keep. I mean, the fact that what's his name has Bargeist is interesting, but I would have loved to know more about him. And I would love to them go on a case and do stuff together, which they did later on, but I would have loved it have happened earlier. I would have loved to see Tybalt, helping on a case where she's taking pictures of some guy who's cheating on his wife, and he sneaks up on her and does stuff. I would have loved to have all those interactions she casually talks about but never shows. And it's like, when it comes to relationship, this author is very tell, not show. And what I need is the meat in that section to be filled out from her more consistently, if that makes sense. Just saying. I need a little meat. and and what happens instead is this author, she has a habit of just taking a shovel and just piling on a bunch more questions. Here's a bunch more questions. No. Here's a bunch more questions. And I, I sometimes it's tiring, and I actually do want to know the answers to questions, because I realize that she has really well thought out plot points, but not really well thought out character relationships. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add?
There's nothing else I can add without spoiling even more of the series.
Oh, I feel you in bondage over there. Okay. Okay. I want to say definitely this series worth reading, because I think it's one of the best, well researched series, and she also has a beautiful way of speaking throughout the book. It's some of the best writing that I've read in a long time in relationship to lore and knowing about your world and knowing about the world in general, like on a lore basis outside of, just the shit you make up. Constantly found myself smiling because she knew certain phrases and sayings. And if this chick does not have a literature degree, I'm gonna be surprised.
You don't
I would
need
be
a
really
degree in
surprised.
literature to be well read. You just gotta, read a
No,
book, which is what we already do.
yeah, but it's certain things that are just lit nerd bullshit. It's like lit nerd bullshit. It's like I will never have a job lit nerd bullshit that she says in some of these books that get me to thinking that this chick is, if she doesn't have a degree, then I'd be surprised. But that's just my opinion, though. It feels like it. I'm just a guess, but I'm gonna look it up right now. But it feels like literature degree. And McGuire. But if you haven't already, you should definitely read this book. It's well worth reading. Yeah, graduate school. Yeah, yeah, graduate. Yeah, lit nerd. Okay, I like check their website. Lit nerd. All right. So if you haven't already, you should be reading this. Stick around. You may not like it at first, but you're gonna walk into the world, because the world is actually more than spits. It's some of the best world building and solid urban fantasy world building where they actually do the locations and stuff correctly, which isn't something you really see. And she always builds that feel, that sort of salty coastal feel. She does really well. And her characters are those freaking I never thought I'd meet a Fae tech bro, but I met a Fae tech bro in this book. So serious. So that's all I want to say is definitely think about reading it. Um, we we want to thank you for joining us today, and I'm gonna have some more of this cough syrup because I'm gonna cough soon. And Fu, any closing anything? You're good.
Read the series, people. Read the series.
Read the
She
series,
does mix
bitches.
up Fae lore, so if you're one of those weirdos like this one who's like, I don't like Fae books,
I
there's
don't.
so many different types of Fae lores throughout the world that Shannon McGuire like tosses into her book and makes work in such a wonderful way. Read the series. You'll enjoy it.
Yes, yes. There's surprises galore. Peace out.